Welcome to the MadTrio podcast. This week with the California Pariah, John the Charny, James the Fatman Stevens.
Hello.
Rob the old guy.
It's me.
You're listening to The Watch with Rob Charny.
That's right. You're listening to it. Well, okay, maybe not really The Watch. Don't get confused, folks. It's really the Mad Trio.
I don't think anybody's confused. And like normal, apparently we're going to do the lightning round of celebrity deaths, as apparently that's been our shtick. Is Grease star Olivia Newton-John has passed away at 73 years old because of complications of cancer after more than 30 years.
She did, an incredible amount of time fighting cancer, 30 years of fighting cancer, and she did great. And, everybody's going to miss her. I understand she was a very, very nice person, just in general. And so it'll be it's kind of sad to see her go, but like I said, just incredible fighter. And she started a couple of foundations to help women with breast cancer. And she did a lot of really, really nice things for people.
I only know her as, was it Sandy from Grease? And there was that other musical she did. I can't remember it. Brigadoon, something like that.
Brigadoon? No,
I don't remember. I've seen it once, I think. The Oracle from Matrix, remember. Mary Alice, passed away, and I don't see her age. She was fairly old, as I guess she got her start in 1969, and for some reason. Broadway passed away yesterday. Varying sources state her age is 80, 84, 86. So 80 to 86 is her under over, if you're wondering.
Okay.
This article from Giant Freaking Robot doesn't tell me. And Pat Carroll, the voice of Ursula in Disney's Little Mermaid, dead at 95. Now there's a good age. Mm-hmm. Carroll died at home in Cape Cod, Massachusetts on July 30th while recovering from pneumonia. Deadline reported Sunday across her career spanning more than 70 years. Carroll recurred on sitcoms The Danny Thomas Show, apparently frequented on shows on Busting Loose, Red Skull and Hour, and Getting Together in 56. She had a long career from the golden age of television.
She did great.
And did we do the show last week? I don't think we did.
No, we didn't.
Well, Lieutenant Uhura.
Yeah, we did.
Well, Michelle Nichols.
Yeah, we talked about her not last week before.
Before.
Well worth talking about again.
Yeah.
She amazing how I think underplayed her career was, mainly before she was the first on-screen interracial kiss in television history in Star Trek. She was told by none other than Martin Luther King Jr. himself not to quit Star Trek because she showed not only a person of color, but a woman of color on a bridge crew, which traditionally has been higher ranking superior officers in those positions.
Right.
Yeah.
So super, it was actually fun to hear she died because allegedly I was heard she had, I guess, a rough couple of years. Rumor has it she was being taken advantage of. So I'm sorry to hear she passed away, but I'm glad that, whatever issues has
anybody that takes advantage of a senior in that situation needs to be stoned to death.
Well, you talk about that. You know who Edie? It's Edie McClurg has claimed she's a victim of elder abuse. She was in Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Apparently this woman, and you'd know her if you saw her face, claims she's being taken advantage of and elder abuse. Another famous celebrity from a childhood classic apparently who's been abused, which seems to be the order of the day when it comes to rich and famous people when they get older. Because Stan Lee, apparently the same thing happened to him. He was being taken advantage of by a caretaker.
If you don't have family watching out for you, or unfortunately, if you have family that's taking advantage of you, it's very hard when you become incapable of really taking care of your own finances and taking care of yourself. And I think we'll all face that, me way before you guys, but it's a possibility. So
excuse me.
Sad.
The family of actress Edie McClurg has claimed she's a victim of elder abuse. I don't know if I want to go into what she's allegedly has been happening.
No, let's not. But let's just hope that it's not the case, and who knows.
And gonna switch around to movies. Something that I don't understand. A live action Pac-Man movie is in the works. This is by GameSpot.com. How do you make
What?
a live action movie about a giant circle that eats ghosts? I'm kind of confused.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense at all. What?
A live
I mean,
action Pac-Man movie is in development, according to the Hollywood Reporter. Bandai Namco, they're of the game series, is working on a movie production company, Wayfair. Sonic the Hedgehog movie producer Chuck Williams came up with the original idea for the Pac-Man film. The report said, though it didn't mention any details of the plot. I
who wants to watch that? That does not sound good at all.
I was more excited about the Battleship movie that came out 15 years ago. I don't understand.
No, but
So-
you know, having a very, very young member of the family who likes to watch other people play video games on YouTube, I don't get it either. So
Yeah, I don't understand that either. I don't get
So-
watching people playing video games on any streaming or video. I just don't get anywhere.
yeah, so
So
maybe it's a generational thing. I
to
don't
put on
know.
my prognostication hat, here's the next movie, the games that'll be turned into movies near you. I think Monopoly, Hungry Hungry Hippos will turn out to be a very gross and bloody movie. Break the Ice,
Shoots and ladders.
Shoots and Ladders, Candyland, which is probably going to be softcore. And Klondike, the card game. That's next.
Mm.
Are you serious?
No, I
I really hope not, but I mean, with the way movies have been coming out now, and
Right.
you have a Pac-Man film coming
Who-
out,
Who knows?
and there's going to be a poker movie, which is going to turn out to be a reboot of The Gambler. I guarantee that's next at some point.
The Gambler, or what was the Ben Affleck one? Rounders.
Are we still talking about games?
Yeah,
for
Yeah, that was a
making
poker
movies?
film. Rounders.
Oh, okay. All right.
I mean-
God, I got it now.
Let's see what other. I mean, we got to come up with something. I mean, what's the next?
Well, okay. I got another one. Mexican Train.
Oh, you know what it's going to
Make
be?
of it what you will. All right.
It's going to be the Oriented Express. Yet it's going to be like the Orient Express, but it's going to be focused around a game of dominoes on a moving train
Uh-huh. There you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
and tequila. There's going to be a tequila sponsor in that movie.
All right. Let's try this one. The 10 most influential TV series of all times. Okay, we're going to start. Number
Okay.
10. And this one I don't understand.
Wait, hold on,
And I didn't make this list up.
Melanie. This is for you. Okay,
No
go.
listicle, huh? Okay. The TV show The Wire.
Oh, okay.
I've never seen it, but I heard it's amazing.
You know, I didn't watch it initially, but then I did start watching it, and it's actually really good.
Yeah. That's what
I didn't watch
hear,
it at
and
the
I-
time, but I caught it up when I started streaming, getting HBO streaming, and I was like, I'm curious. So
I'll have to add this to my list then, because a lot of people have said that it's really good, and somehow I just never got it on my list. So number 9, Law and Order, which at the time it came out, I agree, it was definitely beyond many of them.
Dragnet better be on there because a lot of
Mm,
a lot of those Law and Order type of shows got their their gimmick from.
yeah, but it
Webb.
isn't who started or what. Yeah, I understand, and just because you're a fanboy of Dragnet doesn't mean it's going to be on this list.
No, I'm a
it's
fan of
not.
Jack Webb. That's got his.
No, number 8, Lost. Now that was an interesting TV show. I don't know if you guys watched that
no,
one. or
I
not.
did. I did watch it, and I remember a lot of people talking about it when it came out,
Yeah.
and then I ended up watching it after it was all the way done, and it was a really good show. I was
It was.
kinda
It had a lot of
surprised.
twists and turns. And it was, yeah, I liked it. I really
How was it
lost me.
revolutionary? I'm confused. Does it say
Um,
nonsensical plot?
it's the way it was. It would go fast forward, and the revolution of the movie, and then the persons of interest, and from what I can remember, it was just the way the whole show was put together. It was just done really well. Good one, anyway. So number 7, Star Trek: The Next Generation. Yeah,
I'll agree with that.
I'll agree with that. I mean, I watch that every week. The X-Files. Now, this one, for me was it was okay. Some people just absolutely went head over heels for it, and I'm not sure why, but it had some interesting things. I don't know if you guys ever watched it. And then number 5 on this list was Seinfeld, and I'm going to comedy that maybe it was unique. I don't know.
It was
I
the
didn't
first.
see it.
It was the first show that was about nothing that succeeded.
Yeah, okay. I'll accept that. And then they're saying number 4 on this list is Saturday Night Live. Now, I don't really consider that. It's a TV show, I guess, but it wasn't a series TV show. Anyway, Saturday Night Live, the way it was put together originally, I think, and the people that they had originally in the original cast, and as it went forward for a lot of years, was pretty phenomenal. Nobody was able quite to duplicate it, and heck, it's still on the air today. So.
Yeah, I would say it's revolutionary in the fact of that they were, basically doing the entire show live, and that, the outtakes were there if there were outtakes, that they just had to roll with it and do it as a show.
Honeymooners
So
did it
in
first.
that sense, comedy, it's revolutionary.
I think so. So number 3, and I know some people will agree and some people won't agree, is The Simpsons. Think about it. Isn't it number 1 as far as the amount of episodes ever is The Simpsons? I mean, it's
that and WWE Raw.
Yeah, but as far as, well, I mean, WWE Raw as an episodic TV show is debatable. I mean, but whatever. The Simpsons, that's one of the longest running shows ever.
Yeah.
The Simpsons,
it started in 1989. I mean, it's pretty amazing. It's still around today.
The Simpsons are amazing because they went from incredibly controversial to churches trying to get it off the air to churches embracing it. It's amazing, like how people went from when South Park was really starting going, you heard parents go, "Why don't you watch The Simpsons? They're so much better." And I always thought that was funny.
Yeah. Number 2 on this list is I Love Lucy.
I'm surprised that's number 2, considering the reason it's around is because of the deal they made.
You got to understand that Lucille Ball was just back in the time, and her timing, comedic timing, and her presence and everything, and a strong female lead and taking control of her. It's quite revolutionary. It was really.
I would also add, if you guys don't know why Lucille Ball was revolutionary, look up Desilu, and you'll see why she deserves a higher spot, in my opinion. She should be number 1.
Well, all right. And so you can agree or disagree with this one. Number 1, and I'm going to disagree with it, but that's just me. Number 1 is The Sopranos.
Oh, gosh.
So, I mean...
Why?
Not being really into a crime drama like this from the bad guy's perspective, I guess you want to say is, and that may be a product of my upbringing.
I liked The Sopranos. Don't get me wrong. I actually watched the entire series and enjoyed it, but number 1? Yeah. No.
All right. Well, that was his list. So we I don't know.
I mean,
Jonathan, do you agree with us? Disagree? Yeah, some of the list was decent. I will say. So anyway, at least that was a listicle for today's show.
I got a listicle for people in the restaurant industry to see if anybody knows these terms, because I've always heard them for years and I don't know anybody who uses them. But let's go. First is Adam and Eve on a raft.
What?
Adam and Eve on a raft. This refers to 2 scrambled eggs poached or scrambled on toast. This is Old Waitress shorthand, if you guys don't know that. Let's see. Campers.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay.
These are guests who linger at the table after they're finished their meal and paid the check.
Oh, that makes sense.
We always refer to them as residents.
Yeah, there's that too, huh?
Yeah.
Yep, I like that.
Dead plate.
Okay.
This term is often heard in the back of the house. It's a plate that has been in the window and under the heat lamp for too long. The reason I bring this up is I knew an old waitress who owns a, I don't know if she still does, but she owned a greasy spoon near us. And I got talking to her one day about old restaurant shorthand. And she says when she first got into waitressing, 30, 40, 50 years ago, she said you had to learn all these shorthands because it was quicker because you'd be screaming it through the window. And you ask any waitress nowadays, she said nobody knows. She said all the restaurants she's worked on, she actually taught some of these basic shorthands to not only the cooks, but to the waitresses so they could have faster communication without the POS system. I just thought it was interesting because I ran across it a couple of days ago.
Yeah, I would say a dead plate is. I mean, it would use different terminology for it, but yeah, we refer to that as dead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I get that. Got any more, John?
No, that was the rest are they're like.
Oh, okay, that was it, huh?
Yeah, it was just a short one because I thought it was interesting.
All right.
And here's one from Hulu that I think is interesting that has gotten everybody pissed off. Mike Tyson blasts Hulu for making a biopic about his life without paying him. I do have a question. Why would you piss off the man who was once known as the baddest man on the planet and who was known for killing pay-per-views by knocking people out within the first 30 seconds of the first round?
Because Tyson's all he does now is sit around and smoke pot.
Have you seen some of his last boxing match? The dude, even at 50 or 60, is still fucking scary.
You talking about the one on the plane?
Well, there was that one, wasn't it? But he didn't really hurt the guy that much either. He really held up on those. So.
Like, what was it? Oh, yeah. He recently did one of those. Forgot what show. Basically, the show. One of these matches against another old time boxer, and he did a bunch of shadow boxing videos. Yeah, exhibition, and him practicing. He's still scary. I don't know if I would. Of course, you don't really lose it, do you? If once a fighter, always a fighter in some degree or another.
Well,
you're
and all the other stuff. So
Dana White apparently the Dana White had a deal with a handshake deal with Hulu about promoting the film. He called Mike Tyson, or Mike Tyson said something to him, and he told Mike, "Okay, I'm squashing it," and canceled the UFC, basically giving a shout out and getting paid to do a commercial for this Mike Tyson film. And he's been going off on it, so I'm curious to see how that goes, because I'm not sure if I'd want to piss off him or his fan base, to be honest. But I'm also a Mike Tyson fan, so.
No, I wouldn't want to just. I mean, if you're gonna do a thing about a certain celebrity, you kind of gotta pay them. You got to give them some credit to it. I mean, you're using them for money, so
you would think. I mean, doesn't he own the rights to his own name? I mean, you think I don't know how that works.
Well, you could do unauthorized biographies. Well, I mean, why not?
And maybe that's what it is.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I just was surprised because Mike Tyson has such an interesting story. If you actually listen to his interviews about his childhood to his first boxing coach to Don King and later charges, I mean, you think you would pay the dude $multi-million to get such an interesting story?
Yeah.
I'm still confused why they would just straight up rip him off, but.
I don't know.
So, did you guys hear about this nurse who was charged with 6 counts of murder after a high-speed crash?
Can't say that I did.
So a traveling Texas nurse, I don't know what exactly that means other than she was obviously traveling around.
And the traveling nurses are nurses that go from hospital to hospital working. You can work in a certain place for a while and travel to another hospital and work. And, so our local hospital up here employs traveling nurses at times, because one of the ones I had was just that. She came from Texas or something. Anyway, yeah.
So she was in Windsor Hills, California, which I guess is LA County. I don't know where that is
Hmm.
exactly. In Southern California, we don't have our Southern Californian resident.
Yeah, we don't.
I guess she was just blowing through a intersection in La Brea, and she hit how many vehicles? Multiple vehicles, but 3 of them were engulfed in flames, is what it says,
Oh, great.
and ended up killing and injuring multiple people, and now she's facing a 90-year prison sentence.
So, what was her reason for doing this? Does it say?
No, it just really goes and lists the
Charges
the victims
charges
of it,
against her. Oh, okay.
and the
Yeah.
charges. But it doesn't say exactly what she was doing. It's just that she just blew through.
Must have been distracted driving and somehow, because that's just, oh man.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I wonder if was she working beforehand? Because
It
if she
doesn't
was, I bet
say.
she was tired. Because nurses just work crazy hours, especially if she's
Yeah.
a
They can,
traveling nurse.
yeah.
So I
They
bet she
can,
was
that's for
tired.
sure.
Yeah, but I mean, gross negligence apparently. I mean, I don't know what she was doing, but she must have been speeding like insane. Doesn't say how
See,
fast she was going, but it's like, that what was the guy a few months ago, or that, it was like a football player
yeah,
who like disintegrated that SUV.
yeah.
Oh yeah, I remember. I don't
Yeah,
remember.
that was
Yeah, I
bad.
remember that.
See, we need vehicle control, just like we have gun control. We need vehicle control. I'm sorry. We need to register these things, and
Well,
you know,
they are registered,
because
and you do pay to allow you to drive.
I'm
on
sorry,
public roads.
they're a menace to society. I think we need to ban them. And
I
then only certain people, the government and military should have vehicles. Everybody else should walk.
what I'm waiting for is car buyback programs. Because every redneck and country boy I know is going to be like, boy, we're making some money tonight.
That's all those Pintos they're selling back.
Oh, talk about that. So I forgot exactly what this is. This is in one of these gun unfriendly states that had a gun buyback program. Somebody or a group of individuals 3D printed a bunch of firearms, quote unquote, and they all got purchased. And there's a picture of this giant blue, like Walmart style bucket filled with these 3D printed handguns. And I think it's based off the Liberator from World War II. And the news story said they will no longer be accepting 3D printed firearms in the future.
Well, I mean, there you go. What's the definition of a firearm? Right? They didn't obviously put that into their disclaimer.
I just thought it was funny because it's the first time I've seen this trolling. There were years ago, I read on the forum that these guys were, what they would do, this FFL would actually station himself away, like half a block away from a buyback and have a sign that said, we'll give you a better price than the guy down the street. And this guy would buy all these rare firearms that these people didn't know. Like they would come up to him and say, no, yes. And it said this guy made a fortune off of the buyback program by buying firearms nobody wanted.
Well, I mean, here's the issue too. One of the first gun buyback programs that I knew about took place in San Francisco. Okay, gee, surprise, right? And they were offering something like, I don't know, $75, $100 to buy back any gun that you showed up with. Well, I was aware of numerous gun stores, and almost every gun store has a whole collection of broken down, worthless, no good, type of firearms. And they all gathered them together and went over there and turned them in and probably made 100 times more money off of the buyback program than they would have been trying to do anything with them.
There's been some pretty good trolls.
So.
Another one I just remembered is a person put a lead pipe and a few other things together and ended up getting like $100 or whatever the card is.
Well, they're gonna have to read the fine print, guys.
Yeah.
And don't forget, all because they're cops doesn't mean that they like guns or know anything about firearms. I've met a number of people who are Leos or former Leos who hated firearms and didn't care about them, and honestly probably didn't know the difference between the front and the back.
Yeah. Well, that's
Well,
why there's a thing called armorers.
That's why you take advantage of them and get money from them.
That's right. Hey,
It's their own fault.
And
The guns is part of that job. If you don't know your job,
go
this
get
is what
another
you get.
job. That's
Well,
right.
yeah,
You can go
that's
flip
what you get.
burgers at someplace
or they work for NYPD.
oh man, you heard of that whole poor NYPD. Those guys are quitting left and right.
Don't
So
blame them.
I do have that. Well, I want to skip into the get past the politics a bit, but one of my favorite news stories of the century is people are now trying to cancel Metallica. By the way, people have been trying to cancel Lars since 2000, so let's get over that. Doesn't work.
I've heard of this, and it's retarded.
But it's funny to me is if you ask metalheads, they're the most inclusive group you've ever met. They don't care if you're gay, straight, trans, don't give a shit. As long as you're cool and you like metal, they'll rock out with you. And they're also the group of people you really don't piss off, because if you want a bunch of music fans who are rough and gruff to show up your door, tell them to bunch of fuck off. You don't really want to screw with metal fans. And there's these stupid reasons I don't want to get into. Basically, it's stuff that has in the past about Metallica stuff and the stuff they said and other bands have said, but I find it hilarious. Cancel culture meets metalheads is probably, if this continues, is going to be my favorite Twitter thing for a while.
Yeah, I saw some of this, and I'm like, I can't even look at this. I'm gonna get too cranky, and I'm not the biggest Metallica fan either.
I agree. I mean, I was a bigger fan of Metallica, honestly, from like And Justice All, Metallica back. But I'm a huge metalhead. I've always loved metal. I love music, so it amuses me that people are trying to cancel metal. It's just not gonna work.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think metal will be around for a while.
Yeah, well, metal's been around for a very long time, but I mean, honestly, Metallica hasn't made a good album since the 80s. So,
yeah, to each his own. Whatever.
Yeah, I mean,
I was going over this list of things. This website had this thing on here called the things that 60s kids did that would horrify us today. And Wayback Machine is going again. I'm looking at some of this and going, because I'm thinking about this, and maybe that's what's wrong with me. I mean, it starts out with things like pregnant women smoking. Yeah, my mom did that. I don't think drinking, but they were drinking, right? Smoking and drinking.
But don't forget it being around people who smoked like chimneys. There was no such thing as the non-smoking section back in 1965.
No, everybody was, was smoking. I mean, everybody was smoking that back then, and that was encouraged, and it was on every TV show and everything you ever watched.
There was some doctors that even prescribed smoking for some women.
Yep.
Yeah. For men and women, I shouldn't just say women.
No, right.
There was sometimes I've heard of doctors actually telling a woman to smoke while pregnant.
Yeah. And to smoke to lose
help
weight.
your nerves.
I've seen ads for that. Want to lose weight? Start smoking.
Oh, there is some truth to that.
Brought to you by Fatima.
I was going through this time out. Unsafe cribs. Okay, fine. And trampolines without nets. Why would you put a net around a trampoline?
It's to catch flying children.
I know. Child-proofing your house. Nah. We got to the knives. We did everything.
No, see, my favorite thing about that was the fact that, you guys back then had like 950-pound TVs on
absolutely. It's sitting on TV trays. Absolutely. And your dad would smack you to go adjust the bunny ears on it, and the whole thing would come crashing down you, and then you just pick it up and say, "Stand up, dust yourself off. You'll be all right."
Well, back in your day, you understood
was fine.
Back in your day, you understood what making that giant piece of furniture fall on you meant.
Yeah, that's true. I figured that out pretty quick. How about walking to and from school alone? Well, you mean you had to go with somebody? I always walked. I rode my bike most of the time.
Well, you lived
or going to a friend's house unescorted. Of course. Shoot. I didn't come home until the street lights went on.
You lived into a city. For me as a kid, that possibly meant getting eaten by something.
Well, you didn't grow up in the 60s. See, out here, you would have been riding your horse to school.
There's a true story to
that. Chewing sugary bubble gum. Yeah, that's the best kind.
Wait.
Or eating cereal with sugar. Still the best kind.
So?
That's still the thing. I'm confused by this.
Yeah, I don't know. Nuns who smacked. That's still a thing, I think.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's changed.
Yeah.
But now people pay for it, or it's little boys. So that's.
Yeah, I don't know. Riding bikes with helmets. Now, I will say, having a couple of concussions off riding a bike, there's probably some truth. Maybe we should have thought of helmets sooner for riding bikes. There is some truth to that one. Hitchhiking. Oh, that was always safe. Never.
That kind of depends on.
Yeah.
The actual. I mean, there are
Nowadays,
some that probably. Yeah.
Nowadays people go.
Duck and cover, the bombs are coming down.
Yep. Playing outside all day unsupervised. Absolutely. The only time we ever run back in is if we skinned our knees, cut off a finger, poked an eye out, something like that.
That's still inside, but the mom's usually drinking mimosas and usually too hammered to help the children.
Playing at the beach on your own. Having been a beach kid, grew up in Santa Monica, I walked to the beach every day. Nobody ever went with me. Can't imagine that today, right?
You just knew if there was a rip tide, swim sideways. You'll fine.
I knew exactly how to do that. No sunscreen. That's true, because our sunscreen was go out there and get sunburnt. You'll be fine from then on out. And I look at all the spots all over me. Now I know where those came from.
Nah, the sun wasn't as dangerous.
Jeez.
Come on, let's be honest.
Drinking from garden hoses. Yeah.
How was that bad?
I don't know. Tastes like rubber though.
It builds character.
Oh, hey, blood brothers and sisters, where you'd prick your fingers and you two would touch blood together. And yeah, that's something that you don't even want to think about today.
Okay, that's just wrong.
Yeah. Pretty icky, isn't it?
Yeah. That's
I mean, that's not something that we didn't do either. There was like some people that were like that.
Yeah.
I never
I
did
think
that.
Blood Brothers thing it's been around in many traditions for a very long time, but don't think you do it too much anymore. I like this coming home to an empty house. Yeah, I mean, if both your parents worked, you always came home to an empty house. I mean, go learn how to make a bologna sandwich and you're good to go.
God, you couldn't do that now. You'd lose your children. CPS would be
I
on
know.
your door going, "We come for your children."
Yeah. Well, here's the next one: spanking and batting your kids around. Boy, my dad and his belt, man, that was something.
But see, that still
Could have
happens.
been taken away.
That still happens, but it's like closed doors, like a Catholic priest. It's all hush hush. Nobody says anything. And if you get caught spanking your kid, there's always somebody going, that really harms the development. It's like, yeah, that really harmed me. That's.
Yeah, it traumatizes you. You'll be talking about in therapy for the rest of your life. Right.
I think James and I turned out fine.
Yeah.
Okay,
you would.
I turned out.
That's a question, huh? I don't know. Unsafe toys. I've thought about this quite a bit. The old BB gun thing. Here, kid, have a BB gun and go out and have BB gun fight. Man, we used to have some of the best. Yeah, I don't know. Nobody lost their eyes, but a lot of people got little wounds from up close BB gun fights.
Don't forget, some of your toys contained uranium.
Oh,
Nothing says fun like slightly radioactive.
Oh yeah, hey, that was. Fortunately, that kit wasn't that widely distributed.
And lawn darts.
But the science kits back in the days, I caused a number of things to go poof, in miniature, mushroom clouds would go up.
I love that.
Oh, add a little of this, a little of that. I don't know what any of this shit does. Poof. Whoa, that's cool.
Yeah, I did some of that shit too. So I mean, my parents got me one of those little kits.
Yeah.
And one of the first thing you learn how to make is homemade gunpowder with those kits.
Right.
So
it was a lot of fun.
Better life through chemistry. Just ask Walter White. Chemistry makes everything better.
That's right. Always does. Yeah, that's about it that they were talking about in this list. That was pretty good. That's a pretty good list.
Oh, yeah, that wasn't a bad little list.
No, that wasn't bad. Considering that all of that just had flashbacks for me. It was like, oh my God.
The colors.
Yes, I remember all that.
I bet.
And talk about your have flashbacks when you play our sponsor.
Hold on, I got to get into that. Here we go.
Today's show is brought to you by Audacity.
Audacity.
The game where dignity is overrated. Go to ODDASSITY.com. That's ODDASSITY.com. Pick up a card game from this website or selected stores. That's Audacity.
Audacity.
The unforgettable party game for mischievous people.
We still have to redo that. You know,
Make sure you
Audacity.
use MadTrio, all caps, all one word for 10% off your final order. And what I mean by
That's right.
flashbacks is you're going to have such a great time that you're going to want to purchase more and invite more friends.
And they have.
And make sure you go to audacity.com for further details on new versions of the game that are
They got
coming
a
up.
number of them coming out. One's for in the car and one's to play at the bar. We've got a lot of those games coming out. Pretty neat stuff.
Yeah.
So you got one, James? I got a couple of interesting stories.
Well, I got one that's like, well, duh, no shit. So, Domino's, after 7 years of putting so much effort into it, is finally closing its doors and filing for bankruptcy in Italy.
Oh, they had a Domino's in Italy, huh?
That's
So 7 years ago, Domino's got the wild hair of let's just go to Italy
and
open up a
American style
chain of
pizza joint.
restaurants
Yeah, fast
in
food pizza.
Italy and see how we do.
Hey, 7 years isn't a bad run for some of those.
And this is quote unquote what they got. This is quote unquote unprecedented competition from local restaurants.
Gee,
Kidding me.
you think?
And what they were having a lot of problems with is these unprecedented restaurants started using, guess what, during the pandemic, a lot of like the Uber Eats things. I mean, they're called Glovo, Just Eat, and Deliveroo.
Right.
Out in
DoorDash.
Italy, but the DoorDash and all those things. Since people couldn't come to their restaurants, they started using services to deliver their food. So Domino's delivery section of their competition was shut down by the mom and pops.
So that was probably their whole idea, their whole shtick about surviving there in Italy is the fact that they delivered and nobody else did. So there was, you get the munchies in the middle of the night, you got to call somebody. Good. I'm sorry. Can you imagine starting that franchise? I wonder if it was an actual Domino's store, or if it was a franchise, because it's like those. I got an idea. Let's open up a Domino's in Italy.
Somebody had to be drunk on sacrificial wine. What bozo decide? I know, let's open a pizza restaurant in the land of pizza. I'm not quite sure if that makes any sense.
So they signed a 10 years franchising deal with this e-pizza, and it was supposed to be large scale pizza delivery services, as Rob was saying.
Yeah.
And so they signed this back in 2015. And then, once the pandemic hit, that was that was what they claimed their downfall was. And I'm just thinking, cheap Italian pizza is not now in comparison to, like, if you went out around in the United States to get, good cheap pizza, it's not going to be the same as going to Italy and getting good cheap pizza. It's going to be a different experience.
Around here, a cheap pizza is an oxymoron, man. There is no such a thing.
I mean, you can go and get the Little Caesars. It used to be $5, but now it's like $6 or $7.
It's all expensive.
Or if you go to the gas station,
price to get a large pizza, that's a good deal. I mean, it's not great pizza.
But go to the land of fresh pasta, fresh dough for pizza things. Let's bring in this frozen pizza dough, and we're going to slap some artificial tomato sauce on top of it, and we're going to do really well in Italy.
I'm concerned whoever made that business decision and said, I know, I have a great idea. I'm confused because You know, that the fresh pizzas using, you know, like fresh tomatoes
You
and
know,
fresh garlic
everybody-
and Reggiano and
Yeah, I know. But you know, that's the thing. Everybody comes up with these ideas and think, hey, I've got a great idea for a business. We're going to make a killing. You know, and sometimes it goes and sometimes it doesn't.
I
So,
mean, they took their shot. I got to give them that.
yeah.
I mean,
and
that's
7
some
years,
balls.
it
That-
does take. Yeah,
mean,
it
if-
does.
That's some balls to go to
that
Italy
is.
and be like,
Yep.
we are taking our Americanized chain restaurant pizzas to Italy.
but
Yeah.
Domino's,
You know,
like,
that's like Macooni's going to Japan.
but it couldn't be like
American sushi. Let's go to Japan and open up a
it couldn't,
fast food.
it couldn't have
sushi
been like
place.
Chicago's Pizzeria Uno where they made true deep dish. It couldn't have been something that was something they don't have. No, it's this cheap, generic, shitty pizza. I'm shocked at that. Like, that just makes
Yeah.
no sense.
Yeah. I when I came across that article, I'm like, Domino's did what?
Yeah, I bet.
Like, I had no concept of that one of our chain ass restaurants would go out there to try that. I mean, it would make more sense if like a Papa Murphy's went out there.
Yeah,
You know,
Yeah,
something a little bit
yeah.
different than what Italy's used to.
sure.
Something I can't imagine they have very many, you know, take home bake pizzas out there. They might, but I mean, I assume that if you're an Italian in Italy and you want to make bake your own pizza at home, you're going to do it yourself.
Yeah,
It's just kind of like the culture out there. So
It is.
it's like they don't really understand the culture and went out there with their freaking. Yeah, I just am baffled.
everybody's
by
mother
it.
knows how to make fresh pizza dough. You know, they all know how to make fresh pizza dough. It's like, yeah, it's a good idea.
It's all over
No,
TikTok
nobody-
and YouTube. I mean, come on.
Oh yeah, I mean, come on, nobody's going to make it better than mom, anyways. So. Oh well.
Yeah.
So you know, we've talked about electric cars before, and one of the things that's always talked about is how long it takes to actually charge an electric car. And no matter what you do, you can only make those electrons go back and forth
Yeah.
fast, right?
Before you make them
You're
explode.
kind of stuck to physics on this thing. So Tesla decided, because so many people are complaining about it, they're testing out an idea here in Germany. They're starting in Germany. The Germans must be really weird in it. Well, they are really weird, but I won't go about it anyway. They've decided to put these swimming pools by all their charging stations where while you're waiting for your car to get charged, you could jump into the pool and swim a few laps.
Interesting.
Okay.
I say, you know, talking about somebody coming up with ideas, you know, we're going to be talking about this next year going, who came up with that crazy idea of putting swimming pools somewhere by an electric charging station?
So when
That could be a problem.
when in the US
Yeah.
is it going to be a beer garden?
Well, there's
Yeah, I was
probably
gonna say,
already
I
one there.
mean, yeah,
Germany probably already has one. That's probably already done.
well, I mean, they already have like things where, you know, they deliver beer to your home. I mean, they do have some weird actual rules when it comes to consuming beer. But I mean, it's way more lax than in the United States, if I remember right. There's just, let me see if I could find something on that, because I remember talking with a German friend of mine, and I was listening to their beer rules,
The beer rules.
and yeah, and I'm kind of like, this is really interesting.
Oh, I'll tell you what, while you look that one up on Tesla here, one of the things they also did is they added software to their vehicles to give drivers something to do while they're waiting for their cars to charge. They let you watch Netflix or YouTube or Disney Plus, or you can play Tesla's car karaoke game, also known as car karaoke. And so they're trying anything to keep people entertained while their vehicles are charging, because even at fast charging stations, you can only go so fast.
Did you hear there's a new way to open up the charging port in Tesla by saying open butthole?
What?
If you say open butthole to Tesla's voice command system, it opens up the charging port.
Huh.
Elon Musk.
So there's a
actually
beer
tweeted it.
purity law
Oh yeah,
You got
been around
beer
forever.
in
culture.
Germany that it
Yeah.
has to be made with 4 ingredients. I'm trying to find out. That's the most, when I type that in, that's what is coming up because there's a lot of people that are upset with that.
Well, things like gays and some of the other out of there. Or you
Let
can't
me
call
see
it.
if I can-
Can't call it. Can't call them beer. Let's all hit our browsers at the same time and see if we can look up.
Yeah, that's what it's coming up with is the ingredients. That's kind of weird that that's the first thing that comes up. There's a lot of people that I guess are really upset by that. But I mean, they
Huh.
take their beer very seriously.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
and we don't. We have Miller Lite, Coors, Pabst. I mean, no, and they have beers you chew.
True.
Oh,
Very,
they're point. They're
very
point.
true.
Germany, according to this, is 0.05 for driving under the influence.
Yeah,
So,
they do take that seriously because I mean they
Yeah.
do allow you to kind of go around and be free with your beers, but don't drive.
yeah, apparently so. I was trying to.
I've also heard it's really hard or expensive to get your driver's license in Germany too. I don't know if it's still the case, but I read something a number of years ago, like the number of steps required was a lot harder because any 16-year-old here can get their license fairly easily.
Yeah, relatively easily. I mean, they're not in comparison to when it was Rob. I mean, they just kind of like were like, oh, you're 12. Here's your driver's license. Now go drive.
Yeah, that's right. Right.
Back when
Because we don't want this on your parents.
But you see, one of the things that kept that from happening is you still had to crank the cars back then, and it's
That's true.
that took a lot of muscles.
it was really hard to crank your tea bucket over.
Hey, they're okay with cyclists kind of drinking and being drunk. 0.16% and cyclists in Germany.
Wow.
For being on your bicycle, 0.16. Oh,
Yeah.
geez.
That sounds almost worse. Wow. By the way, if you can ride your bike that drunk, you deserve a hell of a lot of credit.
You're doing really good, right?
Yeah. Trying to guess which
Okay.
headlight's the right one, but
Oh, that was funny. I like that. Good old Germany.
I was
Hi.
going to talk a little bit about politics, and a little
Politics?
bit of no
Probably
shit.
better.
Is Alex Jones concedes Sandy Hook attack was real, so he
Boy.
lost his court case and he's throwing a fit, but he said, "Oh, it actually happened in a case of what." I didn't actually realize what this court case was about until I started looking into it a couple of days ago, and it was like one of these things like huh?
He's already in his company has already filed bankruptcy, and it'll be interesting to see how far he's backed up on as far as insurance goes and things like that. Because I understand wanting to come out and be controversial and do all kinds of things, but that one was a little. I think a lot of us wanted to back away from him when he started ranting and raving about that. It's like.
But if you ever followed Infowars, I always thought it was like weekly world news, especially when he started talking about quote unquote gay frogs because of estrogen in the water. It's like he was close enough to talk about the man the boy who was half bat, half giraffe. I mean, so it's just
well, some of that was, and that's entertainment. But when you start getting to think, see now, First Amendment, when we start talking about our right to talk about things, that's where, you and I and James here, we're doing a podcast. We have a right to talk about opinions and ideas and fun stuff and all that kind of thing. When you start getting down and I think it's more than just denying the fact that Sandy Hook took place, but it was also kind of attacking people.
Oh, he doubled down on it after reading on it. I don't know. I was just shocked. I mean, not only the fact that he said that, but somebody's like, to sue him was shocking. It's like, yeah, no shit, the guy's full of shit, but I don't blame him. But I was just really surprised. The whole thing was. It was like Amber Heard and Johnny Depp lawsuit. It was like watching it's like watching a garbage fire.
Yeah. Well, you know, it's
No,
always
I
been,
think
you can,
no, I think the Johnny Depp and Amber Heard thing was funnier than a garbage fire.
it's
Although
more
garbage
entertaining.
fire,
Yeah.
yeah, it was more entertaining. I mean,
More
there are some
entertaining.
things I'd rather watch than that, which would be, the debate between Trump and Hillary. That was a garbage fire would be more entertaining. But
See, 20 years from now, people will be replaying that debate to put their children to sleep.
well, it's like basically watching two kindergartners arguing.
Mm-hmm.
True.
That's pretty much what it was.
As far as
True
political
enough.
debates, that made the A+ certification manual more entertaining, which, by the way, is really hard to do. If you ever read that damn
I
book.
think you're
So-
talking about the Biden and Trump debate.
Yeah, maybe. Well, yeah. We'd have
That
to go back and
one,
think about
that one was pretty bad. It's, you had one guy who just kept repeating himself and the other guy who forgot what he said.
That's, we already forgot who they are.
Yeah, yeah. Why am I here?
So,
What's
yeah.
going on?
What's happening now? I don't know. But you want to talk about politics. I got to tell you something. And I've been a little bit, I mean, really fried here recently. And I'm not even going to talk about specific bills being signed or being passed. I am so at a point where every time I hear about how many bills, both federally and state, that people sign or put governors sign or the president sign or whatever, how in the hell can anybody know all the laws that are on the books?
Nobody
it just-
does.
Nobody does. Nobody follows them. How many are repeats of what was already written 15, 20 years ago? Nobody researches this. Nobody understands anything. It's pissing me off. I'm getting so tired of them. Just that we got to write another bill for this. And we got to write another bill for that. And we are getting to be to such a point where, there's laws written for every single thing you can think of. You can only blink so many times in a minute. You can't fart in public. It just gets to be ridiculous. And I am just getting tired of it.
So Rob, this is
Yes.
what happens when we keep hiring legislators who get bored.
Well, it's
we
also
need to fire them.
yeah, you're right. And
We
it
have
doesn't
enough
seem to be-
laws.
Yeah, we got
don't
enough
need
laws.
a legislative group anymore to write laws.
I think
Yeah.
what we need to do is we need
That's
besides-
where I'm at.
I'm
besides
willing to start
voting-
with term limits. I'd like to
There you
start. I
go.
think term limits need to be put in. I think if you want to give a senator 2 terms, perfect, but not life like it's turning into. Same thing for our congressman.
I have a better I have a better idea. So what we do is after they get elected, what you do is you elect the two most common people, and then you put them through like an Olympics, like just random stuff, like the senator who can survive the most Jägermeister shots. The ones that can handle the most Metamucil without having to use the restroom, and if because it's already a shit show, so why not have fun? The strangest one who get the one who can get high and can still keep a straight face. We
can come up with all kinds of things for this, but I don't even want to watch the news anymore. It's just getting to a point where people pay attention to what's going on here. This is just getting ridiculous. Let's elect some people that might actually do some right things. Let's get rid of these people that have been around since, the last 60 years. This is just ridiculous. I mean,
so
Pelosi, God love her, but come on, it's time to move along. It's time.
I think the biggest issue is, this is something we've been talking about as a show and a group of individuals for as long as I can remember, is the fact, left or right, we need to invest in politicians who aren't so polarizing. Because if you look at AOC on the left and Mitch McConnell on the right, they're so party focused, not focused in the United States. And that goes into things like, if you pay attention, when Democrats in office, they do this, and Republicans in office, they do that. We need politicians that work together. I mean, it's been crazy. I think that's the thing we need.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's bad when I'm actually missing the Clinton administration, because at least there were common enemies, or back in my dad's day, there was a common enemy that people would work towards. Granted, the common enemy would also screw people, if you look at McCarthyism. But I think it comes together when everybody has it so good, small things matter. And unfortunately, it's a bunch of stupid shit that people care about.
Yeah, I just
Yeah.
get sick of politics. I'm really done with it to these days. I mean, just like Rob said, it's like I have been thinking that the legislative branch of our government has been bored for at least 30 years. I mean, if you look at the laws that get passed these days, it's just,
Yeah.
And
I don't know.
it's just what the fuck.
We try not to talk politics too much in the show.
We're not really picking on any one person. We're just talking in general here. I mean,
That's it. Literally it. I'm not picking on
Yeah.
any group. I mean, Republicans are doing it. Democrats are doing it. The fucking Green Party's doing it. It's all of them are just doing this stupid shit, and it's like I just can't do it anymore. I just look at it and I'm like, I just want to
Yeah.
slap you.
it does.
I want to slap you all.
Yeah, I'm with you. Begs the question: how long can we continue at this pace with what's going
We
on?
just
That's the
fire them
problem.
all.
This is what happens
Fire
when
'em
you
all.
don't vote for Ross Perot.
Well,
Are you saying he
yeah.
could have heard this way back when?
No, yeah. No, but basically what I'm saying is, is the fact that the problem with politics is I think we just have it too good. It's have it too good when little minutia matters. And I think when little minutia matters this much, I think we have issues because it's becoming ridiculous to the level of, hey, let everybody do what they want, give them the right to do what they want, and then move on. Instead, it's this and this and that and this, and it gets worse and worse as time goes on. It becomes so ridiculous and small and very pedantic. And by the way, I'm a super pedantic person, but when I'm saying it's too much, it's a little too much. It's
believe him when
crazy.
he says that, because he is.
You shouldn't. I don't get it. I really don't. When Obamacare was passed, and you heard the Republicans say, "Oh, we're not going to do anything." Really? Why? What a stupid cross to die on. How about actually trying to help forge something that was better? And then Democrats would do, Republicans do something. Republicans would do the same thing. It's like, come on, let's get together. If you actually gave a shit about the country, you would worry about less about your pocketbooks and more about the country.
Yeah.
I don't know. Sometimes I just have to shake my head and go, wow.
And
where are we going?
This is why I think they need to make marijuana legal.
They did.
No. Well,
the states did. He means at the federal level, right?
So here's the craziest thing is we're wrapping this up, but I just read this recently. So marijuana is considered a Schedule I narcotic. So think heroin, methamphetamines. Think about all the hardcore drugs, LSD that you can think of that's legitimately lethal. Marijuana is considered on that level. So say in the state of California, Colorado, and other places where it's legal, you buy a gun, the ATF can technically put you away for 10 to 25 years to life if you've smoked marijuana and or purchased it because it's federally illegal. But it's a state. So, we live in a wacky world.
Mm-hmm.
But I miss the days when it was I miss the days when it was the pinko commies.
Do you want to keep up to date on the maddest of the mad at the MadTrio podcast? Check out our social media feeds on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, or go to themadtrio.com.
I just wanted to make sure that we got it in there before we wrap this thing up.
The other thing I want to make sure you guys go to patreon.com/themadtrio, all one word, TheMadTrio. If you happen to like what we do, drop us a dime, help support the MadTrio podcast and pay towards our expenses and maybe a cup of coffee or two.
Yeah, it's about all we're getting.
And
we have to be more controversial. We've got to start to see. What could we call ourselves instead of InfoWars? We could call ourselves Nymph Force. Maybe more people would tune in.
Nymph Force, I'm pretty sure that's a porno company. NymphForce.com.
Oh, all right. Well,
ladies and gentlemen,
I'm just saying, man.
If you listen to the MadTrio podcast, the one thing I would say before I wrap it is don't take yourself too seriously. We're generally just a couple of blokes having fun, and hopefully we'll get Miss Audacity on more. She's a wonderful addition to the show. She's out there. So do me a favor, as always. Thank you for listening.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.